Hey, this is Sandy.
And Randy.
And we're here on AT Corner.
Being an athletic trainer comes with ups and downs, and we're here to showcase it all.
Join us as we share our world in sports medicine.
Welcome to another episode of AT Corner, episode 5.
Our first themed episode.
So, all week, stories have been rolling in for this one, and Sandra has been excited.
Yeah, we've got a lot in store for this episode. Oh, and before we get started, we have another review.
Ooh, nice.
Do you want to read it?
Sure.
So, it's from, I think it's either Bulldog 13 or Building 13. I'm going with Bulldog because I love bulldogs.
When you said Bulldog, it made more sense to me. But this is a 5-star review, and they said, I enjoy the mix between story episodes and educational episodes. Way to promote the profession.
Okay, you guys, I don't think you know this. Actually, just picture this in your head. Close your eyes. I know you can only hear our voices unless you're watching us on YouTube. But when we get a review, or when we get an email, we dance.
When I first saw it, I had to run outside to let you know. Like, I was stoked.
We get so excited. So just imagine your typical athletic trainers doing their thing, and then all of a sudden we get this notification. Actually, we don't get notifications for reviews. We just sometimes check to see if they're on there. And if they're on there, if there's a new one, then suddenly we jump up and our heart starts to race, and we feel like we just won
the lottery.
We just won the lottery. No, what's an athletic training thing?
Quiz Bowl.
We just won Quiz Bowl.
That's how nerdy we are on this show. But no, seriously, this is why we do it. We want to do this for you guys and put on a great show that you guys enjoy.
What a great community we have. So for this themed episode, if you're new, this is actually something new. So welcome. We're trying to showcase athletic training beyond what people see. So this is a perfect example to start with because right now athletic trainers are going through physicals. Well, I guess right now with COVID.
Yeah, some places are, depending on the state and stuff.
Some physicals are rolling over, but some people are having to do physicals. But this is not specific to just right now. This is something we do yearly, or sometimes twice a year.
It is definitely one of the more stressful times of the year.
So do you want to explain kind of like what an athletic trainer's role is during physicals?
Yeah, so athletic trainers in general do a lot of different tasks during the physical. You know, we take blood pressure, we do eyesight, heart rate, height, weight. I think one of the interesting aspects too is depending on the school you're at, you can do functional testing. So the basic idea of it is like doing an FMS and taking athletes through that. We can also do the orthopedic screening of the physical portion. So we'll go head to toe and check neuromuscular function, and then whatever we find, we relay to the doc when the athlete goes to see the doctor to follow up on anything when they're getting their general medical physical done.
And what about when physicals are not done on site?
When they're not done on site, which is the case where I work, they have to get the physical from their doctor or an urgent care. Basically, a doctor, they have to come in and bring it in. And that's common.
A doctor, not a nurse, not a PA, not a chiropractor.
Most places are now moving away from accepting those, and they only want an MD or a DO.
So we asked the athletic training community what was the strangest thing they've seen during physicals, and we were not disappointed. As always, we're going to start with things athletes said, and this one's physical related. So Megan M.H. asked an athlete, "What's your birthday?" And the athlete responded, 2/20/95, and then said, wait, that's not right. That's my fake.
I'm glad he already established what his fake birthday is.
Yeah, not our business. So, moving into the stories, we'll start with 2 crazy ones. Something you don't see every day, right? So, Nicole L. submitted that listed under surgeries on a physical, she had someone who had surgery to remove a stingray barb from her Achilles.
Wow. I've had some people that I know stung by a stingray as well.
Did they have to have surgery?
Not like that.
Honestly?
But notice what's interesting is Achilles keeps popping up.
I know. As soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, our episode. I am so terrified about getting stung by a stingray.
Yeah, it's not a fun time. I've heard it's pretty painful. And it is lethal, too. It can be, right?
Yeah, what's that guy's name?
Yeah, Steve Irwin.
Yeah, Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
So next one that's crazy. Eric J. said 4 buckshot pellets lodged under the skin around the occipital area. Kid was kind enough to bring an x-ray with him.
I want to know how.
I know, my first question was, what happened?
Like this, I don't know if this has like a Christmas Story vibe where he was probably told like, hey kid, you're going to shoot your eye out or what? I want to know more.
He said that he didn't get the full story, but I think, if I'm remembering correctly, and I wish I had the comment with me, I think he said that it was in an area where healthcare was kind of sketch. So I don't know if he had the means to, like, had surgery taken out. But that's insane. Could you... Well, I couldn't even imagine getting shot under my eye once, let alone 4 times.
A good thing it didn't hit his eye.
Yeah. Okay, here's another one you don't see every day. Valen AB submitted, weird but not, collegiate level. 2 football players had 1 testicle each. I had to clarify that. They had to sign a waiver for that one. Their head AT and team doc came up with a waiver. It's similar to... I asked him if it was kind of like if you're playing with 1 kidney.
Yeah.
And he said it's similar, but it's more just understanding that they're risking further injury.
Yeah, because when you think about it, you know, a lot of people don't consider that if something were to happen on the field and they lost that other testicle, or if it's the case of a kidney, a loss of another kidney, they would have long-term health consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Like, say if they lost that extra kidney, they'd be on dialysis or having to look for a transplant. Or if they lost that extra testicle, you know, they would have, you know, they would risk not having a child later. You know, they'd have to find another means to do that.
Well, this kind of brings it back to our first episode with Pam's lost nut story.
Exactly.
Okay, so we also had a couple of forged physicals that came in.
I gotta read this one because when you told me about this, I was shocked, and I want to know this one.
Okay, you want to read it?
Yes.
Okay.
So this one's anonymous. Our physicals are all submitted online. Each athlete and their parent/guardian has an account and must sign every form. We had a freshman forge her aunt's signature. How did we catch her? The name and signature on the account was Auntie Tina instead of her aunt's legal name.
Yeah, at first she couldn't understand how the athletic trainer could tell it wasn't her aunt that signed the forms because she didn't realize she put Auntie Tina or whatever she put. So, and then I asked her, like, why would someone want to forge a physical? And she said basically she didn't want to wait for her aunt to sign them because her boyfriend was running track too and he would have been out there without her.
Oh, so there was motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny. I've had athletes, like, for, like, emergency contact and stuff, like, when it asks, like, who is it, they'd put, like, mom.
Oh, we got one. It's anonymous. An athlete of mine put baby mama as his emergency contact.
Well, you know, that's nice that they're on good terms, that they're emergency contacts.
You know, very clear. At least it's very clear and detailed. Like, absolutely. This is exactly who my emergency contact is.
Yep.
Okay, we got another forged one. From Sean C. He had a kid fill out his own physical. I don't know what age this is, but I'm assuming high school. For doctor, he put Dr. Boozy. Sean said he didn't know that was a rapper. Oh, he didn't know that a rapper was also a doctor in West Texas. But he found out he definitely forged it and didn't have a doctor's name, so he made it up based off the rapper.
Okay, that's, see, when I hear forged physical, that's what I assume is like, oh, they're forging the doctor's signature. That's, wow.
Yeah, we got a few of these. So I asked Sean, you know, what do you do in that situation? Like, did you confront the kid? And he said, I told him I didn't recognize that doctor and he had to redo his paperwork. The mom and coaches were told as well, which I think that's a good step.
Or at least ask, hey, can I have the contact so maybe we can figure this out? Did you see did you actually see this doctor that we can talk to? Because I know for our physicals, we make sure that they put the stamp of the doctor's office on there too. So if we had to contact them, we could. Do we have another forged one?
No, oh yeah, this one is forged, but it's more like return to play.
Okay.
So this one's anonymous as well. So this athletic trainer had an athlete about 5 years ago, another school, another state, who forged a doctor's return to play note. How'd she know? Obviously typos. Googled the name, and it was a random doctor on the other side of the country. She told the coach and AD, and they let him slide.
Oh my goodness.
Meanwhile, this kid had recently been ejected from a game and later accused the coach of calling him names, etc., on text. So the coach was suspended while he was investigated. Wow. This is the crazy part. Well, all of it's crazy, but this is the crazy part. Only for coach to be able to prove he's never texted the kid based on cell phone records. The kid had an app where he created the whole thread.
Whoa, this is wild.
This is the kind of kid who you tell them that they can't play and you have to take their helmet so they don't go back in.
Yes. I can't believe we're having this many forged stories. How is this a thing? Is this more common than I think?
They're way more out there.
Oh my goodness.
One of my preceptors had an athlete who, I think she told his parents, like, during a game that he had a concussion and that he, in order to continue playing, he had to be cleared by a physician.
Yeah.
So he left the game, somehow got, quote unquote, cleared by a physician, came back wearing completely different jersey and different number.
Oh. Okay.
And then went and tried to play.
Wow.
Same day. I don't know.
What do you remember what they did?
She noticed him and was like, you're not going back out there.
No. Has anyone else had this? This is crazy.
You know, some people just want their parents to play. This is another one where it's ridiculous. Sometimes parents are crazy. This one's from Josie. So she asked the high school kid, any past surgeries? And they said no. Any neck or back injuries? And they said no. Ever been hospitalized? And they said no. So fast forward to reviewing the physical, this kid has previously 2 herniated discs the season before.
Oh, that's definitely one of those things that should be checked, yes.
Yeah, exactly. He and his mom knew as a sophomore that he is going to the NFL, so they chose surgical repair without telling anyone at the school, which is why he was out besides presenting a doc note. So then the physical states cleared to play with no restrictions. So Josie went to her AD, and the AD said that the physical is either fake or the kid lied because the kid was in really rough shape the spring of the previous year after their football season. So then at that point, they called the physician. Both mom and the kid lied to the primary care doc.
Oh my goodness.
So then the doc revoked his clearance, which that is an insane amount of liability on the doc's end.
Absolutely. Well, he can only do, like, if there were no physical findings and they didn't tell him the correct history, there's not much he could really do about that.
That's
like, he
true.
can't read their mind. But I don't understand why parents do this. Like, don't you realize that it's better to be upfront about this stuff? Because if it gets ignored and it gets worse, you can say goodbye to that NFL career.
So the mom lost her blessed little mind, as Josie wrote, and attending neurosurgeon called to explain to me that he is able to do limited exercises. I asked which part of football was involved in limited exercises, and he responded, oh no, he's not cleared for football. You think? Yeah, he's 6 months from surgery. And I guess the highlight reel was when the mom said, you all don't want my son to be great. You're picking on him. She also stated that she wanted her son to return to normal daily activities. The AD said, ma'am, do you consider football normal daily activities? She blank-faced said, yes, of course it is. My AD said after almost 20 years of playing, ma'am, I can assure you that in no way is football and all its hits and motions part of normal activities. She ended with, I've never in my career have seen such delusions toward reality and a child's future well-being.
It makes me want to ask, Mom, at what point in your normal day do you do football things?
Do you collide with other human beings?
That's so crazy. Man, dude, youth sport parents, am I right?
No, this was high school, I think. This was high school. But do you remember my youth
I do
sport?
Remember your youth sport. That was the segue, by the way, that I was trying to push in there.
The biggest headache of my life. So, honestly, I felt on the youth football sideline that I cared more about the health and well-being of these children than their parents did.
Yes, absolutely. And it
upon
really looked
meeting
that
them
way.
From the first time.
Yeah. Like, it's just terrible. I I don't understand how youth sports gets this connotation that you have to be aggressive with things. And like, this is for kids to learn fundamentals of movement and learn the fundamentals of the game. Like, no kid's going from these youth sports to USC or like, you know, those big universities to play.
Remember, I had so many kids who I was concerned about their, especially the head injuries. And I took a kid out for suspected concussion, and the next week the dad was so pissed at me because the doctor agreed that this kid had a concussion and he did not clear him to play. And now his kid had to sit out on the sideline.
All for the kid's safety.
This kid was like 8.
Like, that's the thing that drives me nuts. Like, I don't understand why it's that important that your kid needs to be out there playing youth football. Like, I don't understand that.
Let's go on a lighter note. We've got some mix-ups on these physicals. So, Stacey M said, so I have seen it all now. I've had a student try and turn in a vet record for a chihuahua and pass it off as a physical.
Whoa. Oh my goodness. I've never seen that before.
I want to know if it's like here's like the dog's paperwork and here's my kid's paperwork and they just mixed it. Oh, this one is, I don't know if I'm going to be able to read this without laughing because I can just picture it. So I guess instead of the physical form, Savannah W had a selfie posted. So I guess they can upload their physicals onto their portal, which is the way that we do it too. A parent and then a different kid posted a selfie instead of their physical. And the mom held up her name on paper like a mugshot.
Oh my goodness. That's so weird.
She said, I was uncomfortable.
That's so weird. Why are there so many mix-ups?
Here's another mix-up. Angelica S. said, a few funny things happened during paperwork collection. We used to have a question that asked the student's parents' state of health. You know, good, bad, that kind of thing. She had an athlete put Pennsylvania. We also have a Google Doc that has columns for each form. We mark them off as students complete the forms. We usually just send them to coaches, but sometimes coaches show them to the kids to explain what they haven't done. One kid asked me where he could find the printed form. That column is just for us to keep track of what we printed out and what we didn't.
You know what's funny is I'm currently going through incoming paperwork, and it is shocking what these kids can't find, what they're looking for, and it's wow.
Just a little bit of overthinking.
Speaking of overthinking, this next one, I was reading ahead, and it's cracking me up.
Okay, so Cliff D said that he asked a kid what their grade in school was, and the kid responded with A-.
So, like, in all your grades are A-, or just being at school is an A-? I don't get it.
I know, was this like self...
is this like a self-diagnosis?
Self-graded? Okay, Joanna R. said, I got a return to play for a male football knee injury from a gynecologist. Male football knee injury from a gynecologist. Just to make sure you heard me right. I asked the kid who he saw, and he didn't know. He had never been there before. Then she asked him where he went to be seen. Yeah. You know, hospital, office, urgent care, and he still couldn't tell her. The whole while, the coach and I are trying not to die laughing. He said his mother took him, and she had worked with him before, which made us almost completely lose it. This poor kid probably doesn't even know what's going on.
No, not at all.
It finally took me calling the office to get to the bottom of it. I explained that I had received a return to play from a PA there. And they politely said, yes, we do that often. What's the issue? I replied with, this is a male football player with a knee injury, so I'm very confused as to what role the gynecologist played. They were mortified.
Oh my goodness.
And they had to explain that the PA moonlights at an urgent care in their same system and must have forgotten to switch the heading when she did the release.
Okay, at least it was a mix-up. Like, it was just, like, he was evaluated not actually by a gynecologist, because that's bad.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. Okay, this one kind of reminds me of something that happened to me. Tyler R. said, on a freshman's medical history form this year, he said, have you ever had a sprain, strain, or swelling after injury? And the kid said, yes, joints pop out of place. And then later it said, have you ever dislocated any joints? And the kid's like, no.
Wow, that's See, when I get those, you automatically think the worst. And then you ask them about it, and they're like, "Oh no, it's just like this." And it's just like, "Well, that's not popping out then."
I had a friend who always thought her hip was popping out, dislocating. She kept telling me her hip was dislocating, and I'm like, "No, it's not dislocating." When I did physicals at one of the colleges, I had this kid who was just starting. It was a community college, and I asked him. I always start with, like, do you have any prior injuries? Just so, like, I know when I'm going through their head to toe, like, what to look for. And he's like, no injuries. And I was like, okay, like, no shoulder, ankle, knee, anything. He's like, no. And then so I get to his ankle, and I do a Taylor tilt inversion. And then he like, kind of jumps back. I was like, are you okay? And he was like, yeah, I rolled my ankle last week.
I think that counts as an injury.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's when on their history, like if you have a athlete that's like a soccer athlete or a basketball athlete, and you see on their physical that they've went through like they have nothing, no injury history, you almost want to look. So you've never rolled your ankle. And then they'll be like, oh yeah. That would be an injury. That's something you would check yes to.
I know, I feel like sometimes we have to like clarify
exactly
a little bit more. Apparently, injury and rolling your ankle is not common sense, but
I guess not.
Here's another innocent naive. So Tracey B said, in 22 years, I have many. We were doing mass physicals in July for fall sports, and towards the end, an incoming 9th grader comes in and asks me where to go. I tell him, you go room to room with the stations until you cough. And he had the funniest look on his face because he had no idea what I was talking about. When he came out of the doctor's room, he saw me and he had that grin on his face like he knew what I meant. His first hernia check.
That's pretty funny.
One time we did the mass physicals, and I had a mom who was across the gym filming me.
Whoa, not okay.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah.
Do you know if at least that was their child?
I'm not sure.
Well, at least I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, medical information is not something we share.
No.
And not something we film.
No, exactly. That just makes everyone feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. It was very awkward. This is a good one. So Jennifer R. said, we have a space where a parent can write sport exceptions. For example, I don't want my child to play football. A parent of a middle school girl wrote, except for any sport that may cause lower leg injuries.
I'm trying to think what sport they would be able to play.
That's the exact same thing I asked.
Yeah. I guess golf. Golf could work.
Did you not see the golf guy
dislocate his ankle? And then reduce it himself?
I would classify dislocating your ankle as a lower leg injury.
That is a lower extremity injury. Well, he could have gotten that other reasons. He could have gotten that from other sports and just manifested into golf. Yeah, I don't know. I don't play sports. I don't know how to tell that person.
I know. Don't walk down the stairs. I know someone who really badly messed up their ankle from stepping down the last step right before we were cleaning up, and it was the night before her dance recital.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that one's pretty bad, but I do have to say, I think the weirdest or most non-athletic way I've seen someone get hurt is, now I'm not kidding, I've had an athlete roll their ankle tying their shoe. Not lying. He was sitting there tying his shoe and he rolled his ankle.
Okay, speaking of crazy mechanisms of injury, we're actually doing an episode on this soon.
Yes,
so
and I am excited.
So please, if these start to bring up memories of crazy weird things that you've seen, please send them in. Okay, back to physicals. We have 2 submissions under allergies. So Stephanie T said on the other medical conditions section, she got runny nose from a 7th grader. Very thorough.
I mean, that's probably true. You probably have allergies.
Very cute. At least they probably did their own physical, huh?
Yeah.
Another one, a parent wrote guinea pigs, Kristen said.
Well, good thing guinea pigs aren't out on the field or traveling with
exactly.
you. So that works out well.
And we had another person I was like, yeah, I think I've heard of someone being allergic to guinea pigs. And then Stephanie was like, yeah, but those are not going to be out on our soccer field.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so we got some, another allergy one.
I'm reading it right now and it's cracking me up.
Francisco G said he got a submission that said they were allergic to haters.
That's right. Haters are my motivators, baby.
Kelly G said that she had a former college student of hers and known jokester on the question, do you feel safe? They wrote, no. But the answer was because of national debt. And she made sure he was 100% joking around.
So, I mean, at least this child is woke. He has issues on his mind, and he wants to probably do something about it.
Hey, next president.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad that she knows that he's a jokester, but definitely as someone coming in and not knowing,
yeah,
I would be so concerned about this kid's mental health.
Yeah, and
you do mental health screens, right?
I was just about to say, mental health screens are becoming very common now, especially at the university setting, because the NCAA has really made a push on it to identify and manage these conditions, which finally that it's really become forefront. But yeah, the places that I've worked, we've had a mental health screen where basically it's a medical history form just on mental health, like different questions. And it almost it's sad to see how many things, like actual issues that some of these kids have that they don't outwardly display. But it's also a very good thing because now we know, now we can identify this. And I think that's been the nice thing is, reducing the stigma on mental health, because, everyone has this, everyone struggles with this at times, and there's nothing wrong with identifying, what, I do need help. I do need to say something. So that's why these mental health screens are perfect, and it gives a great avenue for kids to put down how they're feeling, and they don't have to worry about talking about it, because sometimes talking about it can be awkward. I mean, I've been very lucky that the athletes that I've worked with, and I try to create a nice safe environment for them, but I've had athletes openly tell me things, but that taking it from being in their shoes, that's got to be hard.
Can you tell us a little bit about, before we go back into the stories, can you tell us a little bit about what your mental health screen looks like?
So the place that I worked at previously, it was pretty intensive. They basically created inventories for depression, anxiety.
This is also Division I college.
Yeah, and we really broke it down to different mental health conditions. We even asked fairly difficult questions about any sexual assault or anything like that. So we were really trying to get an idea of what's going on, because surprisingly, a lot of those issues manifest into disordered eating or something like that. And one of my mentors taught me that if you have someone with disordered eating, there's a reason that happened. There's other issues that might be underlying. So these screenings were great at identifying this stuff. I mean, I had an athlete before, it wasn't even my sport, and I was just covering for the day, and she came up to me and told me that, yeah, I hurt myself. And I'm just like, whoa, that's not easy to do. And to be that open to someone you don't even know, who's not even your sport, you're just coming into a new university and you're like, hey, I have this issue. It's like, okay, well, thank you for telling me. Let's figure this out.
Randy's got a ton of these stories, so we should definitely look into doing a mental health story.
Oh, absolutely. And we would love to hear your guys' mental health stories as well, because this is becoming something that's on the athletic trainer's plate now. And how do we manage this? How does your school manage it? And especially, it's been interesting to me because, I'm at a smaller university now, and we're really trying to figure out how are we going to handle mental health, I'm interested to know how secondary school does it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have a lot of kids there, and sometimes the high schools don't have access to certain services.
Back to our physicals, Bob T said, for sex, he had a student write in, no, still a virgin.
I'm glad he thought that was important to share.
We actually got a ton of submissions under, like, the sex gender thing. Not good submissions, I would say. We had people who wrote in, like, give me a break, and he is a penis, so God says he's a man. And some people even scribbled it out.
Wow. That's aggressive.
Yeah, there's zero place for that on a physical, which is, it brings up a good point that we should talk about. And just want to let you guys know, just to be clear with you guys, we are an inclusive podcast, and no one's forcing you to listen to us, so if you don't agree, then you don't have to listen to us.
Yeah, we're an open forum. You know, we want to be inclusive of everyone. So
yeah, but back to that, really, this is a medical forum. This is not tell me what you feel about things that don't regard you.
And that drives me nuts. Is like, we're just trying to do our job and just try to make the best medical decision. You know, you don't need to make this, you know, philosophy or anything. No, we're just trying to look at a medical standpoint.
We're just trying to make sure your kid's safe, okay?
Exactly.
So, let's do one last one to finish it up.
Yeah, that sounds good.
This one's Jason B. He said, there are so many. One that comes to mind. Kid breaks his neck in basketball season, and I hear get nothing from him. Oh, sounds familiar.
Oh my goodness, that drives me nuts.
He shows up to mass physicals, and I happen to be at the final table, and he sees me. Nothing marked on his medical history of his broken neck, of course. I write on there an initial to get a nurse to escort him back down to the ortho eval. He comes back up, and obviously not cleared till he's cleared by neuro.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that just drives me nuts. Is like, I have to, like, kids that check, like, certain things for surgeries and stuff, and they don't give me an explanation, and I'm like, oh, well, what's up? And they'll be like, oh, I had this or that. I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to need the doctor's notes for that, or, you know, the surgery notes and stuff like that. And they have the hardest time getting it, and I get it. You know, it's difficult to know what to ask for. I legit had someone ask the doctor, and they're like, why? I just told you. What do you mean, why I just told you? They want their records. I thought that was weird.
So I've actually had this happen, but so I split my time between a college and a huge theme park. And at the theme park, we don't do typical physicals like this. Like, the athletic trainers do not do your typical, like, physical clearance for the employees. I work specifically with the performers, and part of my job, I get to do costume consults, which is one of my absolute favorite things to do. Not everyone loves to do it, but I love it.
I would say it sounds pretty cool.
So I have some performers who wear very large costumes with very heavy heads, and I went to go do a costume consult, and there was someone who this costume was hurting their neck. And so I was kind of like, I've never met this person before, and I was kind of asking her, like, hey, you know, what's going on? Any relevant history that you need to tell me about? Like, so I can get a better idea of if it's coming from the costume or if it's coming from her own background. And I guess she broke her neck in high school.
Wow.
And I don't know what made her pursue a career that you have a very heavy costume on top of your head. I don't know where that she thought it was a good idea, but I dug in a little bit more, and she said that she had never had any rehab for it. Ooh. She was just in a neck brace after surgery, and they just sent her on her way.
Interesting.
So, and of course, like, that's a unique situation because normally we would have access to physicals and stuff. Now, the interesting thing, that also brings up a good point with working per diem. Because
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're contracted, I was doing a ton of contract work when we moved, and I had zero history on all the people who I was working with.
Yeah, it's kind of scary because you don't know what someone, has going on. And you've actually had a situation where you were lucky enough someone told you the history of one of the athletes that you were overseeing that day.
Yeah, and we'll go over that in our emergencies episode.
Ooh.
Beyond that neck injury omission.
Yeah, definitely an omission.
Jason also sent in a picture of a burnt physical that he had someone turned in.
I still don't understand that. What happened? And it's only, like, if you look at the picture, it's only a small portion of it. It's just a weird burn pattern.
It's like a line.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, and he doesn't know what happened. He said it was just turned in. So, we are 100% putting that in the Facebook group. And if you aren't a part of our Facebook group, go over to the show notes below or the description if you're watching on YouTube. I think off the top of my head, I think it's facebook.com/group/ATcornerpodcast.
I think you're right.
If not, then just go, there's a link. There's only one membership question to get in, and it's where you heard about us, just so we can kind of figure out, like, where you heard about us.
Exactly. And also, shout out to the ones that have already joined. We've had a lot of great introductions and conversations, so thank you for doing that.
We have an introduction post, so you guys can introduce yourself and meet some other people. There's already been some great conversations on there, so go ahead and when you join, introduce yourself. You can either make a different post or you can put in on the post that we already made. And actually that brings up a good point too, because I don't want this Facebook group to just be us posting and you guys responding. It's a two-way street. So, like, if you guys see something funny, post it. If you guys want to share something with us, post it. This is an athletic training community.
Exactly. We all want to share the same stories and, hear from all of us. And I have to say, I just get excited when I see someone from another state.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just really gets me excited. Like, whoa, this person's from,
because
Georgia.
We're in Southern California.
Yeah, so, or this person's from, like, Michigan. And I'm like, whoa, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. And if you're not an athletic trainer, you can totally join too. Because this is something where we're just sharing our world of sports medicine.
Exactly. I mean, we are, medical professionals. So hearing from other medical professionals, we share some similar stories.
We also have some students already in the group, which is awesome. Students who are trying to figure out if they are looking into athletic training or physical therapy or some other allied health professions. So, and actually tonight we're going to meet with Scott about that.
That's right, we are.
Remember, every other episode is stories and education. So this one is your fun stories. Next episode is going to be asthma, prevention, management, and treatment. And
so the fun one about this one is Sandra is running the education content for that session.
I am, which is not normal. Don't get used to that.
So it's going to be a lot more exciting.
And we're touching upon asthma and masks on that one too. So if you're interested in that, head on over on Wednesday. We'll have that up.
And there's a nice little life hack that you have about masks on that one too. So
I do.
So if you're crafty.
You don't have to be crafty.
That's true.
You just have to get it from a craft store.
There you go.
Or Walmart. Okay, so send in your stories for crazy weather, working with other professionals, and concussion stories. These are upcoming episodes for us, and we need way more stories for these. So crazy weather, we already have some on like super hot weather, like sideways rain, like different kinds of conditions. What we're trying to do is highlight different kinds of conditions that you've had to work in, especially if you're an outdoor sport. I have one that like the weather just was drastically changed in and out. Weather could be like lightning too. That would be an interesting topic. So we want to hear about those. Actually,
Ooh, I got a good one on lightning.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I just saw something today in the news about lightning. So I kind of want to bring that up too.
Well, especially with now, there's been a lot of crazy weather up in the Bay Area, I heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of lightning.
Ooh, so maybe we'll get some on that. Except no sports are going on right now for us. But okay, working with other professionals. This is like working with PTs, working with nurses, working with chiros, working with physicians, all other healthcare professionals that you've worked with or encountered as an athletic trainer, that's what we want to know. We want to know, were these good experiences? Were they bad? Did they know what you were doing? Did they doubt what you were doing? Did you work together positively at the clinical level? We want to know. We want to showcase this. And then last one is concussion stories. So we actually have a lot on this one already, which is great, but we still need more. So this is going to be like, we want to showcase any side of concussion. We have some crazy ways people have gotten concussions. We have some people who submitted stories about return to play from concussions, which we are going to highlight a little bit too. So anything you have that's concussion related, we want it.
Exactly.
And let's wrap it up.
Yeah, I think we're good to go. Thanks for helping us showcase athletic training. Behind the tape. Bye.